Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Easy Peasy Show brought to you by Sportasonic. You can listen to every episode of the Easy Peasy Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or anywhere else you usually listen to your podcast on. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Now let's get into the episode.
Hello, everybody. On today's episode of the Easy Peasy Show, we talk about the numerous amounts of injuries out of the NFL this week, including Joe Burrow. We touch on women's soccer slightly going on, and of course, we talk about the insane card that is UFC 291 this weekend, including Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, Alex Pereira, and Jan Blachowicz. All of this and so much more coming up right now.
So, some big news coming out of all the NFL teams' training camps today. Who knew people had to get back into shape and some injuries were going to happen? It's a pretty amazing sight seeing people overreact on Twitter. Obviously, the biggest news is Jalen Ramsey has to get surgery on his knee now, I believe, and he's expected to miss some of the regular season. I believe it's just a little bit of the regular season. Pretty sure he should be coming back. Nothing to worry about, though. I mean, he's washed anyways, in my opinion. Then we got Joe Burrow getting a little cramp. Bengals O-line gets blamed, as always. And he went down. People were a little I'm sorry?
Rightfully so.
Yes, absolutely. It's always the O-line's fault.
Not always, but they are garbage.
Yeah, so Casper the Ghost got to get a pretty good lick in on Burrow. Got a nice little calf strain going. He's scared of everyone just because he needed the attention. Then who was he? Garrett Wilson? Did Garrett Wilson have a little scare today? So all the Ohio State legends kind of going down.
Was it? I didn't hear anything about Garrett Wilson.
Oh, maybe. Oh, yeah, that's right. You're so busy at work you can't keep up with things nowadays. And I
keep up with teams that I care about. Sorry.
What's that? You don't like the Jets? What do the Jets do to you?
Aaron Rodgers.
What's wrong with Aaron Rodgers?
What's not wrong with Aaron Rodgers?
Plenty. MVP.
Not last year.
MVP.
Not last year. Dookie water last year.
Oh, what's your favorite team again? Let's check out that quarterback, Derek Carr.
Hey, I never.
Yeah, wow.
Hey,
wow.
Whoa, I never said he was good either.
Wow. I'm just saying, a lot of room to talk for a guy who's
Do the Ravens even have a quarterback on their roster?
Oh yeah, they have two, unfortunately, that are both. Oh, you know what? Actually, no, they're both pretty good. Just one doesn't know how to play in the playoffs, and the other one doesn't really know how to play. He gets injured a lot. But hey, MVP. It is what it is.
Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm a big fan of Lamar Jackson, by the way. I do like Lamar.
Oh, yeah? What's his middle name? That's what I thought. Anyways, back to the topic at hand. Burrow goes down. Like I said, the world overreacts. About an hour later, they came back and said, oh, yeah, it's nothing. He'll be fine. And I'm pretty sure, as a matter of fact, I think that's what I texted you, Peyton. I know you were freaking out when you texted me. But I knew it was nothing. I guess you didn't see the video at the time, but I mean, you could just tell he just, like I said, he's just your average guy who's out of shape, hasn't practiced or run around or cut in months. So, I mean, it's to be expected.
Yeah, but he wasn't the only one. Obviously, Jalen Ramsey needing surgery on his knee. Luckily, his ACL is reportedly intact. Now I have heard of people having knee surgery and then finding ACL, MCL, PCL, whatever tears in their knee.
String cheese.
Victor Wembanyama. Once they open their knee up and actually get in there to do the surgery, they can sometimes find some tears, but overall pretty good news for Jalen Ramsey. C.J. Gardner-Johnson, another one that went down a few days ago. Looks like it's pretty minor. I did see him kind of stretching it out and practicing. Not really practicing, but kind of, stretching out and almost like a jog run type of thing at practice the other day. Trayvon Diggs dealing with some kind of toe issue, but by the way, 5-year deal, $97 million for Trayvon Diggs. Props to him. Congrats to him. And lastly, the Saints' own Trevor Penning. Guy just can't stay healthy. I mean, missed almost all of last year with an injury and already injured again this year. So we'll see how that goes.
Right. Yeah, and it's like I said, training camp. It is what it is. And, I mean, there's going to be more people who get injured, and people are going to get scared. My fantasy group chat was just going crazy. But Burrow's owner, he never strayed. He had high hopes that Burrow was a can. Sure enough, he pulled through. And like I said, I mean, it's not a good time to be a Burrow fantasy owner right now, or a Garrett Wilson fantasy owner, or really a fantasy owner in general. Because right now, you got your butthole clenched, hoping that none of your players get hurt. So it is what it is. Like I said, though, it's training camp. People are still. I mean, essentially, you're just still training to really stretch things out. Work out the kinks, get back with your boys, you throw a couple passes, run a couple plays. Block a few people. Obviously the rookies are going to be showing out. You'll definitely be seeing reports like, "Oh, this rookie, undrafted rookie, is just making obnoxious plays." Obviously, because they're still fighting. Most of them are still fighting for a roster spot. Obviously, your first and second rounders probably already got a contract underway, and that's what it is for them. But most of these undrafted guys are late round guys. They're definitely going to be playing their tails off. They'll be, like I said, playing for that contract, playing for that roster spot. And so, keep your eyes out for the rookies that show flashes. Sometimes they outperform where they got drafted, if they got drafted at all. So I'm not sure if you have anyone in mind, Peyton, that you've been keeping your eye on. Any late rounders?
So he was undrafted last year, but he got hurt early on, and he didn't end up playing. He wasn't available at all last year. But keep your eyes on Justin Ross with the
Hmm.
Chiefs. Of course, the freaking rich get richer. All world wide receiver at Clemson a few years back. Couldn't stay healthy. I think he had a back issue his junior year, and it scared a lot of teams away from him. So went undrafted and ended up signing with the Chiefs. Now he is taking first team reps with the Chiefs now. So that's something. That's one guy to look for. Obviously, last year it was one guy that stood out to me that was undrafted was Rashid Shaheed, Saints Nation. Knows all about him. Looks to build on a good year last year. But mm, other than that, I don't have anybody necessarily on my radar as far as like undrafted guys go. Now, if you're an LSU fan, I will say this: Kayshon Boutte, one of the higher rated receivers, or was supposed to be one of the higher rated receivers coming out of the draft last year. Um, he's looking at getting cut before. I mean, he before the season even begins. So that's one thing to look out for.
Yeah, that's tough for him. Someone who had very high expectations, I guess. I'm not. Ah, he definitely did fall short of expectations, at least this past season. And it is what it is. It's whenever people have high expectations set for them, very rarely do they really get there or exceed them. But he definitely fell flat, definitely fell short. I remember, I think it was the first game of the season. I knew it was going to be a long season with him. Whenever he there was one play he didn't even try, and I think he was like wide open for a touchdown, or could have been had the opportunity. And, that's not really the kind of player you really want on your team. So it doesn't make sense that he's, you hear these rumblings that he's on the fringe of being cut. I did read today he caught a couple of touchdown passes from the backup QB, Bailey Zapp.
Bailey Zappi.
So, yeah, Zappy, sorry. Bailey Zappi. So, yeah, there's that. Um,
He
he's trying his best. He's trying his best out there. That's all he can do. He's got to salvage his name somehow and, try not to play like his last name's sake. So,
well, I'm a big LSU fan, and I don't like to trash on guys that are just trying to live out their dreams. Because God only knows that I would love to be playing baseball again or youth football again. I'm sure, and especially for a living. But there were a lot of reports coming out last year before the season even started that there was a lot of character concern with Kayshawn in terms of rehabilitating his ankle injury that he suffered in 2021. And publicly Brian Kelly kind of called him out, uh, saying that he needs to take rehabilitating his ankle injury way more seriously. So, and then obviously, like you said, the Florida State game happened. It seemed like he was kind of pouting on the sidelines, just not giving much effort throughout the season. You saw some flashes, but for the most part, it just didn't really look like him and Jaden Daniels were in sync. If y'all don't know who Jaden Daniels is, it is of course LSU's quarterback, and I think that kind of is a testament to Kayshawn maybe not working out with Jaden. Um, and then after that, during the season, Kayshawn sat out a game, albeit because he had a child. It great for him. I would have sat out too. Um, but again, missed time with the
Mahomes would
team.
never.
And then the whole issue towards the end of the year, before the bowl game, declaring that he was going to return to LSU. Some rumors came out, maybe about a sex party of some sort involving him, surfaced, and next thing you know, he's announced he's declaring for the draft. So some things add up there, if you can read between the lines. Um, Sadly, all the talent in the world. I mean, one of the faster guys I've seen him in person, and was a 5-star wide receiver out of high school. Obviously, showed out in college for his first 2 years until he got injured, and then just couldn't really hasn't really put it back together since. I, I mean, jumped under 20 inches vertical at the combine, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, which is, I mean, atrocious for a receiver. I mean, that is unacceptable. So that kind of, to me, that kind of shows that lack of maybe a work ethic, a drive. So I think that's some of the problems that Kayshawn's working through right now, and I hope he gets all together, man. I mean, being a Louisiana kid myself, obviously I root for all Louisiana athletes. So hopefully he can pick himself up off the ground and put it all back together and be successful in the NFL.
Right, right, and maybe Bill Belichick's your guy to get you back on track. I mean, obviously one of the greatest head coaches in the NFL.
Yeah, if
Yeah, he
anyone
always
is, it's him.
right. Yeah, he can always make something out of nothing. So, like I said, maybe that's exactly what Booty needed is that kind of coach, and maybe this is a resurgence for him. But we don't know. That's still jury's still out on that. We'll find out more as training camp continues for all these teams. Moving on to our next subject, USA women's team soccer fighting the Netherlands women's team. It was a little scary there in the first half. You know, they had us in the first half. Not going to lie, but hey, we didn't lose. That's all that matters. It ended up being a 1-1 draw, and you know, USA women's we fight. I say we like I'm on the team, but you know, it's a patriotic feeling. You know,
Right.
anyway, so we yes, the eagle screeching in the background, and we anyways we live to fight on another day. You know, keep showing that USA toughness.
Yeah, I'm not gonna sit here and pretend like I know much about soccer at all, but
Right,
it did seem like we were playing a
it's
pretty
called
lackluster
football.
game there. And last time I checked, the United States beat England or tied England in the men's World Cup. So now it
Yes, that
is
was electric.
soccer. It is soccer now.
That is
Um,
true.
but it just didn't look like it doesn't seem like we are as dominant as we have been in the past and on the women's side. So it will be interesting to see kind of how that goes. A lot of legendary players, obviously not on the team this year. So, I mean, I don't know what to expect, but as always, I'll be rooting for the United States.
Yes, we expect greatness is what we expect, Peyton.
Rah.
Yes, always. And real quickly, I'll cover here. Formula One has another race this weekend. Obviously, Max Verstappen seems to be the favorite. No surprises there. Team Red Bull is going to do their thing. Belgian Grand Prix. Yep. So that's going on. Be sure to tune in. See the fight for second place because first place is never a challenge as long as Verstappen's out there in the field. And also another thing. I know you're not too into this, Peyton, but so I'll cover it pretty quickly.
I would
But
like to get
obviously, the
into it.
what? Yeah, you should. You should. I'm Team Red Bull. But you know,
What do they race?
It's always on a Sunday, and since it's always international, it's always an awkward time for United States. It's always like super early in the morning, like 7 or 8. Sometimes it's like midnight. Other times 2 a.m.
Like midnight is in like Saturday night.
Yeah, like Saturday going into Sunday.
Okay,
Yes,
okay.
that threshold. And so yeah, the weather actually appears to be concerned. Weather doesn't seem to be letting up over there. So some of the drivers have called up on the FIA, which is like the racing organization. I'm trying to think of what to compare it to. They're basically the ones who make the rules for racing, and they always like F1's the organization, but FIA controls the rules for the organization. So some drivers have called on the FIA that if the weather remains how it is, which is pretty bad, pretty terrible, to just go ahead and call the race, cancel it for the time being, because obviously you don't want all these drivers racing these fast cars in terrible conditions. So that's something to keep an eye out for. The race may or may not happen. Hopefully the weather clears up. I doubt it will, but yep, that's something that remains to be seen.
Yep, and I'll touch on something that you're not too interested on. Keep it quick. I know we're trying to promote more of a national brand, but LSU baseball just landed a huge pitcher from Alabama. Some rumblings going around that they might sign the potential number one overall pick for next year out of the transfer portal. And it's going to be a big recruiting weekend for a lot of schools.
Mm-hmm.
So let's just look out for more college football commitments.
Oh, that's some good stuff. Good stuff. Man, like I said, it's kind of a weird time we're in right now because everything's just ramping up for all these sports, really. I mean, the only thing really going on right now is like the USA women's soccer team and then
MLB
MLB.
baseball.
So, and,
Oh,
yeah.
speaking of MLB, Shohei Ohtani today became the first player since I want to say 1978 to throw a complete game in one game of a doubleheader and hit two home runs the next. So shout out to Shohei Ohtani, probably the best player in baseball right now. Um, I mean, he can pitch it. I mean, obviously he's a two-way player, which is an anomaly in baseball, but um, being able to pitch it at the level that he does and hit the ball at the level he does is just honestly unheard of. So, uh, props to him. Just if you don't watch baseball, or if you do and you don't care for Shohei Ohtani, I mean, I don't know what to tell you. You just gotta sit back and just enjoy greatness with him. So
Right. And that's yeah, like you said, I'm definitely not the biggest MLB fan, but I mean, just since I'm so plugged into the sports world, it's hard not to hear that name everywhere you go, especially because, it's rare you see a two-way, correct me if I'm wrong, but it's kind of rare to see a two-way player to begin with. And then it's even more rare to see one of his caliber. I mean,
yeah, you don't ever see players of his caliber, especially to. I mean, let me rephrase that. You don't ever see players of his caliber. Period. Hardly,
mhm.
especially two-way players. And it's not like he does one thing better than the other. He's elite at both. Just a insane talent, Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, absolutely. And MLB's in good hands for sure. I know there's a lot of other young players who have massive talent too, but no one quite like Otani. I don't think so, at least.
No, special talent, like I said. But we'll move on to UFC 291 this weekend. Obviously, if you're not a UFC fan, Gaethje versus Dustin Poirier. Um, if you're not a UFC fan and you're wanting to get into it, this is definitely the card for you. We got huge fights such as obviously the aforementioned Dustin Poirier versus Justin Gaethje. You have Jan Blachowicz versus Alex Pereira. Pereira making his light heavyweight debut. Um,
Fatty.
Wonder Boy versus Michael Pereira. Bobby Green fighting Kevin Holland fighting Chiesa, and even Derek Lewis in the card, but not as a main card on the prelims. So huge weekend for the UFC.
Yeah, Derek Lewis isn't even. It's kind of rare that a card is this stacked. If you don't know Derek Lewis, the Black Beast, he is one of me and Peyton's favorite fighters. Helped us fall back in love with the heavyweight division, I believe, but unfortunately, he's been kind of on a skid lately. And I personally do think that skid probably continues this weekend. Sadly, as much as I like him, but just like anyone else, he has a puncher's chance. And I mean, he has the most knockouts in UFC history. So I mean, it's always exciting to watch him fight. But I don't know what you want to do, Peyton. You want to run through all these fights, or you just want to? I mean,
Yeah, we can. We can go. Do you want to go from the top of the card to the bottom, or from the prelims to the main card? What would you like
oh
to
yeah,
do?
oh yeah. No, let's start with the prelims and work our way. Again, we can run through the prelims decently
Early
quick.
prelims or just prelims?
Yeah, yeah, no early prelims. Begin top of the card all the way to the. I'm sorry, bottom of the card all the way to the top. Fights that start at 6 or 7, whenever it is, and end with the main card, main event, BMF
Okay.
belt.
Yeah. So I have it pulled up here. First fight of the night is a women's flyweight bout. It is between Miranda Maverick and Priscilla Cachoeira. I'm sorry, Cachoeira.
Cachoeira.
Cachoeira. I'm sorry. I'm going to butcher some of these names. I mean, if you're not a fan of UFC, you might not realize, but a lot of these guys or gals are foreign, so it is difficult to pronounce as an American. But Miranda from the United States, Priscilla from Brazil. The American is favored in that fight, so good luck to Miranda, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Another. Oh, I'm sorry.
Well, go ahead. I was just going to touch on the fight itself and give you who I think is going to win. Obviously, you can. I don't think there's going to be a lot of close fights this weekend.
Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me if some underdogs pull it out. I personally don't have too many underdogs winning. In this fight, I definitely don't have the underdog winning. Cachoeira is not really the greatest fighter. I think if this fight stays on the feet, she's definitely probably going to win. She has some amazing power for a woman. I don't mean that in like a sexist way, but I just mean in the UFC, there's an obvious different. I mean, it's rare you see women get knocked out unless it's just an amazing, technical knockout, not a TKO, but I mean just an amazingly flawless, like good technique within the knockout. But I expect Maverick to take this fight down to the mat, and Cachoeira is just going to have no defense there. Once again, if on the feet, Cachoeira is going to have her way. But it's in Maverick's best interest to take this fight down to the mat. My prediction is to Maverick get a submission in the late second, early third round. I think she can wear down Cachoeira pretty well.
Yeah, one thing I have noticed, Zach, about women's sports, specifically combat sports, is that I feel like the talent disparity between the best and maybe the second, third best is enormous compared to the men's. It almost feels like, I mean, look at Amanda Nunes and Valentina Shevchenko. I know Shevchenko lost her last fight. However, I mean, the reign of terror they both had over both of their divisions was unbelievable.
Mm-hmm.
You don't see that very often in the men's, but it feels like every champion in the women's division, they will that when they once they get the belt, they go on a run. It seems like so. It's just kind of strange to me. Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's I don't know what it is really. I guess it's like some of these women just may have just that talent that just really sets them apart. Because it's kind of weird. It's like you said, obviously there's like two or three front runners in each division. I say in each division, but just total, just talking about women, and then like everyone else seems to be pretty equal talent. And I mean, we may always make the joke anytime there's like a main event for a championship belt. It's like, oh, just feed whoever to whoever this time. It's really nothing. Rarely do you see a belt really change hands unless it's a passing of the torch. But yeah, like I said, women's MMA is a little less interesting, I will say, than men's MMA. But not to say there aren't talented fighters, because like I said, I think Maverick's a talented fighter, and like I said, I think she can get it done.
Oh yeah, and obviously you have extremely entertaining fighters such as like Ronda Rousey come through. I mean that.
Fraud.
Yeah, but those few fights that she, I mean, not a few fights that she fought in, but I mean she was so entertaining for a lot of people during that little title run that she had. But moving on, the next fight we have is a welterweight bout between an American Matthew
Samuelsberger, yep.
Samuelsberger and Serbian Uros Medic.
Medic, yeah, I say Medic, just Medic with a little extra oomph at the end.
I'm gonna let you start announcing these
Yeah, that's
fights.
no, yeah, that's fine. I think I'm a little bit more familiar with some of these fighters,
Yeah,
but
no doubt. So the
I
American again is favored in this fight.
Yeah,
And
and
I will let Zach break it down.
yeah, I think for good reason too. Um, Medic took this fight on short notice, which good for him. But he's also moving up to welterweight. Medic has some pretty serious power. But I think his only path to victory here is a first round knockout. Because I mean, Medic is not going to be taking Semmelsberger down. He's not going to be taking anyone down. As a matter of fact, I wouldn't trust his ability to take me or you down. To be honest, I think it's knockout or nothing for him.
Is
And
he a
so,
gasser?
say that again.
Is he a gasser? Like he gasses out pretty quick, or what?
I mean, yeah, but like I said, he just don't, I'm just saying his takedown, his grappling skills just aren't really up to par of what you would expect of a normal UFC fighter. That and plus he's moving up a weight division, which is kind of tough to really be implement. Even if you are a good grappler, it's still tough to kind of implement that when you're moving up a weight division because you're not used to tossing around those heavier guys. So I think because of that, Samuelsberger just has more opportunities for the victory. And I think Samuelsberger has just about as equal power as Medic. And I think he also should be able to take advantage of this elevation, score some knockdowns, score more points if it comes down to decision, which I don't think it will because my prediction I got Samuelsberger getting a knockout in the first or second round over Medic. I don't think Medic is just going to be able to do too well. I mean, he's taking this fight on short notice. It's a higher elevation. I think he's going to gas out. I think he's just going to go out swinging, which I mean, is his only path to victory. So I don't blame him, but that's where I'm at that.
Yeah, well, but the odds of this fight are much, much closer than the previous fight, the women's fight between Maverick and Cachoeira. So that's something to watch.
Yes, 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 absolutely. And like I said, most of these fights they can go either way. I'm just giving my opinion and kind of how I'm looking at it. And so, I'm confident Samuelsberger can get it done. No USA bias or anything. Anyways, moving on to the next fight, we have CJ Vergara and Vinicius Salvador. Fighting CJ Vergara is a slight favorite. Last time I checked, I have odds from yesterday via DraftKings, and he was minus one
Vergara is
fifty.
the favorite, minus 160.
Yeah, oh, he's minus 160 now, so it's either money coming in on him or something happened. And I hate that's why I'm not really going to give any betting advice to this because I really don't like to bet on the UFC until I see the weigh-ins. And so today they just or Thursday they'll do the weigh-ins Friday today, and they did face-to-face handshake kind of thing, which most of the fighters are actually pretty calm today, minus Bobby Green and I would say Tony Ferguson, but Tony Ferguson just kind of sat there, Bobby Green doing his thing. Anyways, moving on to this fight. I think I got CJ Vergara winning this. I think he's going to win it by decision most likely. He can also get a late knockout. I think he's got some good power. He's a pretty solid fighter. I think he's also got extreme durability, extreme cardio. Uh, the thing about Salvador is just that in his debut, he wasn't all that good. I mean, his best win is against Ross, who is also not very good. I'm not going to stick to this fight too long. I mean, I think it's going to be a good fight, not as much as some of these other fights. But like I said, I got CJ Vergara winning most likely by decision, but I could also see a pretty late knockout.
Okay, so a clean sweep for this for the Americans in the early prelims, according to Zach.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. Like I said, and it's unfortunate. I hate to really keep picking the favorites here, but I think they're favorites for a good reason. I think some of them should be even bigger favorites than what the odds are listing. But because I think sometimes these odds makers they don't take into account the fact that some of these, I mean, they kind of do take into account that some of these fighters are taking them on short notice, such as this next fight or the third fight where someone's taking it on short notice. But we also got a different elevation to be playing with. Most of these guys do not train at this level. So by level I mean elevation, because this card is in Salt Lake City, Utah. I know we didn't mention that, but that elevation definitely plays a really key role in some of these fighters for some of these fighters. And moving on to the next fight, some pretty easy names to pronounce. So sorry, I got to take this one, Peyton. But Jake Matthews versus Darius Flowers. Jake Matthews minus 240 favorite, Darius Flowers plus 200 underdog. Once again, another person coming in short notice, Darius Flowers. He reminds me of an old Derek Lewis. I say older Derek Lewis, but I guess technically younger Derek Lewis, but more previous in his career, where he's pretty patient. He's pretty patient out the gate. He doesn't really come out swinging. He just when he sees the opportunity, he takes part of it, and he'll throw just these just these massive, I say unstoppable combos, but these unbreakable combos where it's like UFC, you're spamming every button, every combination, and your fighter just gets gassed, but he's still just throwing. It's like an 18 punch combination, maybe more Mortal Kombat. But anyways, he mainly relies on his raw power to catch opponents off guard. That's a kind of very like so he reminds me of Derek Lewis, and the good and bad because his cardio is pretty bad. He has terrible takedown defense. Can't defend a submission to save his life. And so I think Jake Matthews, he's definitely gonna have a much better cardio. Let's say he's not taking this fight on short notice. I said Jake Matthews is a pretty tough guy. It's gonna be hard to even with the raw power of Flowers, it's gonna be hard just to straight up knock him out. I think Matthews is going to be just as patient. He's going to pick his spots a little bit more often than Flowers, but he should be able to outlast Flowers from a cardio sense. He's going to take advantage of a tired Flowers. I think he's going to get some takedowns. I think he's going to get a submission in the second or third round. I think he's going to, like I said, take Flowers down, batter him up a little bit on the ground. Flowers isn't going to be able to do anything about it. Matthews is going to move in for a slick submission.
Yeah. To reiterate what you said, 9 of Flowers' 12 wins is by knockout. So, whereas Jake Matthews is 6 wins by knockout, 6 wins by submission. So much more even there.
Yeah, he's a very well-rounded guy, and like I said, I think that's why he's probably he's definitely not the biggest favorite on the card, but he's one of the biggest favorites on the card. And at minus 240, that's not even that big of a favorite. So, like I said, that just kind of goes to show how I know I'm not really making these fights sound as close. Yes, I know I'm not really making these fights sound like they're going to be close. I still think they're going to be close because I think it also really just depends on these guys' game plans. And like, who knows? Maybe I'm wrong about Flowers because obviously I haven't. It's like I've been watching him during training camp. Maybe he's working. He's been working on his conditioning. Maybe he's been working on his takedown defense. If he does that, he can definitely make this competitive. But just watching past fights, just seeing past results, it's kind of a no-brainer in that fight to me. And I think odds makers agree.
Yeah, I mean, Flowers, if he gets taken down, though, I do expect his cardio to kind of give out on him with his average fight time at 1 minute and 13 seconds.
Yeah, like I said, it reminds you of Derek Lewis. So I'm not sure if you've ever seen him fight, but I mean, you get the Derek Lewis kind of sense of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But anyways, moving on to the next fight. And this is we're getting towards the end of the prelims here. We have Roman Kopylov versus Claudio Ribeiro. Kopylov is a minus 210 favorite last I checked. Ribeiro plus 170. And once again, I'll stop trying to spend so much time on these prelims. We'll get to the juicier fights pretty quickly here. I got Kopylov via knockout in the second or third round. I think just kind of like Flowers, Ribeiro, he's kind of earlier bust, and his cardio is just not going to hold up to Kopylov. But Kopylov's, his cons is that he doesn't have a good ground game. But he has a good sense of when to go for the finish, and he picks out spots pretty well. Kopylov's got some really, really serious power. I mean, he's finished. I can't think of the opponents off the top of my head. I got it. I have the website pulled up. I'm not going to bother looking. I said just get through this. But he's finished some pretty tough guys. Not to say Ribeiro isn't dangerous on the feet because he's definitely got one-punch knockout power too. But like I said, it's just Ribeiro's cardio is not going to hold up. At the end of the day, two guys who are tough, who have the same amount of power, I'm going to take the one that has more cardio than the other. So give me Kopylov via knockout, second or third round. Don't matter either way. I think this fight's not going to go the distance.
Yeah, I would tend to agree. Everything you said. So let's move on to Derek Lewis.
Yes. Our guy, the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, opened up as an underdog. I think he still is an underdog, an even bigger underdog, versus Marcos Roger de Lima. We'll just call him de Lima for short. I know it's a mouthful. De Lima is a minus 215 favorite, one of the bigger favorites on the card. Lewis plus 185. Peyton, I'll let you. I know you're familiar with Lewis, and probably a little de Lima too. I'll let you take the ropes on this one. Give you some time.
Yeah, so I mean Derek Lewis is definitely what some would call a gasser. I mean that's putting it lightly. He throws one punch and he's pretty much gassed out. However, he does have unbelievable power. Obviously, one punch power, like you mentioned earlier. But 21 out of his 26 wins have come by knockout, and
Mhm.
78% of his strikes do go to the head of his opponent. Um, I would, and then Lima, I would 14 out of 21 wins by knockout, 15 first round finishes. Kind of a lot of the same in a way as Derek Lewis. I think he's a little bit more complete than Derek Lewis. And as of late, Derek Lewis, like you mentioned earlier, has been on a slide. He just doesn't really look like his old self or younger self. So it'll be interesting to see how he responds against Lima Bean.
Yeah, absolutely. I like Lama being. I like that. Yeah, absolutely. Unfortunately, like I said, for Derek Lewis, he's kind of in a weird point in his career. I can't remember his last win. Um, man, Dawkins. He beat Chris Dawkins by knockout. So that's been a long while though. That's been a year and a half now since his last win. He's had three losses in a row: Tuivasa, Pavlovich, and Spivak. Sorry, all of them. He lost all of them by knockout. I'm pretty sure. No, he lost his last fight by submission. But I mean, it's kind of weird. Lewis just isn't. He isn't what he used to be. I hate to say it. He used to be very patient, pick out his spots because, like you said, I mean, he throw one combo, and let's say he throws a wombo combo that's like 10 or 12 punches in a row, and he'll throw in some kicks too for such a big guy, and he gasses out. So that's why he was patient in the early part of his career, and like really, I mean, up until recently, he was probably one of the more patient guys in heavyweight, and he was a heavy hitter. He'd take advantage of people being scared of his power, but like I said, he just has terrible cardio, and now he rushes head on into anything. I don't know why he started doing that, but it's not working out for him. And I think he needs to stop. If he picks out his spots, he can easily get a counter on Lima, knock him out. I say he's got that one punch power. So that's why I'll never bet against Derek Lewis because it's just you can't. But I do think like you said, DeLima, he's more all around. He's a better kickboxer. He also, I wouldn't say he has the same knockout power as Lewis, but he
No.
does have some serious knockout power. I think DeLima's probably gonna get in Derek Lewis's head. He's just gonna throw some massive leg kicks, maybe some body kicks, body blows. Derek's just gonna gas out. DeLima, I mean, DeLima could also just easily get a takedown and move in for a sub if he wants to, because Lewis he can't defend a takedown and he's been submitted pretty easily in the past. But my prediction for this fight is DeLima to win by knockout. I'll go first round. I'll go first round. I don't think this fight
Hey,
gets
not
past.
even giving him the second round, huh?
No, like I said, I think Derek Lewis, unfortunately, is in. It's not always a tough matchup for him, but like I say, he's at this point in his career. He's 38 and a half years old. Um, he's just been on a terrible skid lately. Like I said, he's 1-4 in his last fights. DeLima's the more hot fighter. Granted, I would say DeLima hasn't fought the same competition as Derek Lewis, but I don't think that really matters in this case. The heavyweight division is what it is.
Yeah, I mean, your lifespan in the heavyweight division is typically not very long.
No, 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 not at all. And but with that being said, yeah, like I said, I got DeLima by knockout. Moving on to the next fight, though, we have Gabriel Bonfim versus Trevin Giles. Bonfim, probably the second biggest favorite on the card at this point. When I last checked the odds, he was a minus 325 favorite. Giles plus 270 underdog. And I'm not going to waste too much time on this. I know this
Well,
is the
hold
future.
on, wait.
You go ahead. Go ahead.
You said Giles is the underdog?
Yes.
Not anymore. It doesn't look like.
What are the
On
odds?
official UFC fight, Giles is minus 315 favorite, and Bonfim is plus 260 underdog.
Bon, I'm sorry. Bonfim's the underdog.
Yeah, plus 260.
Are you sure?
I mean, I'm looking at it right now on the official UFC website. Unless they not update this, I'm not entirely
I don't.
sure.
I don't know. I think someone in the UFC's tripping.
I mean, it does look like they update these odds.
It doesn't look like they update them.
No, it does. I think they do update them.
Oh well. Okay. Anyways, I'm checking FanDuel right now. Bonfim's still a heavy favorite. Um.
That's strange. Maybe they had them mixed up.
Probably so. As best, and anyways, for good reason. Like I said, I mean, if you know these two fighters, you understand why these odds are the way they are. Bonfim's ground game just amazing. It's I wouldn't say unbeatable, but I mean, being the Brazilian he is, training at the Samurai Gym. I mean, he's like I said, his ground game's pretty pretty freaking solid. His submissions, I think, is like 80% of his wins. He can get
Yeah,
submissions from any
79%.
nice, yeah. He can get submissions from I mean just about anywhere. He's one of those guys you look at and he does like the weird submissions, where it's like, well, like what the crap is he doing at the bottom? He's got he's got a Kimura in all of a sudden. Um, and Giles is probably the biggest idiot in the UFC. I'll just say that he's got raw talent. He just can't he can't seem to put it together. I mean, he's got some bad losses, and I mean, he barely won a split decision. I'll give it to him though. He fights pretty frequently now. I think he's at his 3 fights in a year and a half. But so I mean, he's got that going for him. But I mean, that's about it. He's a freaking idiot. Anyways, I think Bonfim gets this by submission pretty easily. Don't really matter first, second, third round. I don't care at home and at McDonald's. Don't really matter. Give me Bonfim.
Yeah, I'll agree with you. Give me Bonfim. However, I will say he only connects on strikes 39% of the time. So the accuracy up on the ground, not on the ground. I'm sorry, on the feet is not the greatest. So if Giles can keep the fight on the feet, maybe we can see an upset there.
Yeah, absolutely. But I will say Gallus is also every single loss Gallus has, all four of them. I know not that many, 16-4. I'm not sure what his record is in the UFC, but his professional record is 16-4. All of his losses, he's been finished. So, and like I said, I think Bonfim gets a finish here, and I think hands Gallus' fifth loss via submission. But moving on to our first main card fights, we have the always interesting to watch Kevin Holland versus Michael
Mm-hmm.
Chiesa. Pretty close on the odds there. I have Kevin Holland minus 145. Like I said, these odds are for yesterday via DraftKings. Kevin Holland minus 145 favorite, Michael Chiesa plus 125. And from what I'm seeing, people are pretty high up on Chiesa. He seems to be the favorite dog this weekend. And I get it. I get it. Trust me, I do. But that I personally don't think that's going to happen. Like I said, I'm definitely picking all the favorites here. I know how interesting, how original, but yeah, Chiesa hasn't won a fight in 2.5 years, and it was a unanimous decision against Magny, which that doesn't really say much. Kevin struggles with quite a lot, mainly the ground game, his takedown and submission defense, but that being said, it's only because his past fights have been against premier middleweights. Let's see, he fought 10 months ago against Chimaev, lost obviously. Then he fought Wonder Boy, lost. Then he fought Ponzinibbio. So those are all some premier middleweights. Chiesa, I'm pretty sure he's moving up to no, sorry, yeah, he's moved up. Has he moved up from some? I think he moved up to welterweight. Anyways, Holland, this fight is in welterweight, right?
It is welterweight, yes.
Okay, yeah. So yeah, Kevin's fought a bunch of middleweights that are, like I say, the premier names. And like I said, I know Holland himself isn't exactly the smartest UFC fighter either, but he's a much more active one. And I think that's what matters. He has 5 fights in in under 1.5 years. I'm pretty sure. Um, on the feet, I think Holland has huge advantages. But to Michael Chiesa's praise, he's never been knocked out. Only once has the fight been stopped, and it was because of a doctor. Doctor had to stop it. So Chiesa's pretty tough. But I think Kevin Holland's got some good power, some good technique. I think he's going to get a knockout on Chiesa, and really he could probably get a submission too. Like I said, I think Chiesa really needs to take this to the ground to have a chance. But even there, Kevin Holland, he's a black belt. So, Kevin Holland, like I called him an idiot, but I mean, on the ground, he's not going to be that much of an idiot. He's going to be able to, if Chiesa makes a mistake, which he's shown in the past that he will make mistakes on the ground, then Holland can easily just swoop in there, get a submission. But I think Holland gets this via knockout.
Yeah. I'm sorry. You said Holland wins by knockout.
Yes, Holland by knockout.
Yeah, I agree. Kevin is the favorite in this fight. He's striking at a 52% accuracy, while is it Chiesa or Chiesa?
I
I've
say
always heard
Chiesa, Michael.
Chiesa
I always say Chiesa.
is only striking at 41%. Kevin Holland a lot better defensively than a lot of the aforementioned fighters. So I don't think Chiesa's submission offense is going to be as effective, and I think that just leads to Kevin winning the fight.
Yeah,
Kevin
absolutely.
Holland, one of the most entertaining people on the planet, by the way.
Yes, and like I said, this card is packed with entertainment, and that's a good segue to our next fight, which probably, I mean, honestly, probably won't be that entertaining because I think that it's just going to be this is a hmm, I don't know. I feel bad for Tony Ferguson, is all I'll say, and he's been one of my favorite fighters. But this is just going to be. I think this is going to be Tony Ferguson. Sorry, Bobby Green versus Tony Ferguson. Bobby Green, huge favorite, like minus 400 at this point.
Minus 375 right now.
Oh, nice. Anyways,
Unbelievable.
listen, Ferguson, he's a tough guy, but in his past fights, he has been getting he clobbered. Really, Gaethje has just sent this man down on a downward spiral ever since they fought 3 years ago.
Foreshadowing.
Yes, Ferguson is just like I said, he's been getting beat up badly, and I think he came out today or yesterday. He said something along the lines of like, "Oh yeah, I just let Nate Diaz win because I didn't want to be there." Something along those lines. I mean, what a sorry excuse. I feel bad for him. I think this is a retirement fight. Bobby Green's just gonna be able to do whatever he wants. He's got some really good boxing skills, and like I said, I mean, Bobby Green hasn't won in a hot minute, and he last won against Hakparas. Which is, I mean, it's a pretty decent win. But I think Bobby Green gets this done within the distance too. I think, like I said, Ferguson's just done. He's just been getting beat up too much lately. I think Bobby Green gets it done via knockout in the third round.
Yeah, I mean, I've been thinking he's going to retire after his last 4 fights. They just haven't been pretty. They not at all.
He wanted to retire after Chandler, but he couldn't wake up. Or they left his body in there for the next fight.
Yeah, Bobby Green has his way. Is he the biggest favorite on this card?
I believe so. Yes.
That goes to show you. That's all I gotta say. Biggest favorite on the card.
Yeah, and Bobby Green's not even like the greatest guy either, which is, like I said, it's just, I guess, yeah. Anyway, moving on to the next fight. Yeah, I know. Like I said, we won't spend too much time on that fight because, like I said, I think out of all the fights, I'm probably the most confident that Bobby Green's going to get it done. I wouldn't say I'm like too confident he gets it done within the distance, but I think he definitely can just because Tony Ferguson, like he's on his way out the door. I think he knows that he just hasn't been the same guy lately. Anyways, moving on to what's going to be a very, 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 very entertaining fight. Rubbing my hands over here, just getting excited thinking of it. But we have Stephen Thompson, also known as Wonder Boy, versus Michelle Pereira. Stephen Thompson minus 150 favorite, Pereira plus 130 underdog. Could be closer. I could see this fight going either way, and I really hate to put a prediction on any of these next 3 fights, but just for the fun of it. For all the fans out there, I did it anyways. I'll do a quick rundown here. These are two pretty big fighters, 2 very entertaining fighters. Stephen, nicknamed Wonder Boy Thompson, I'm going to refer to him as Wonder Boy from here on out. Or, no, I'll try and refer to him as Thompson to avoid confusion. But obviously, everyone knows him for his karate. He's got some really, really renowned striking. And even lately, it's weird. He's just been getting better. Dude's like 40 years old now, well over 40, I think. And he seems to be getting even better with his striking. Granted, his
Yeah, he's
takedown
going on
defense
an
is crap.
overeem run.
Yeah. Granted, like I said, he doesn't really have good takedown defense. I mean, every time he's been taken down in his last few fights, I mean, he just almost has no answer. I mean, he'll try and fight, but then he's just kind of like, I'll just wait it out to the next round, try and get my signature spinning kick in, or get the crowd to go ooh, But speaking of someone who can make the crowd, ooh and ah, Pereira, he's the guy you always see highlights of. He just will randomly do a backflip in the octagon and try and stomp on people. He does like the flying cage kicks. He flings about 20 flying knees around just for the heck of it. He's definitely an entertainer, and he said in the past that whenever the crowd gets going, he gets going. So there's been a past couple fights he's kind of reeled it back in, which you'd like to see him do more of because this dude's such a good fighter. This dude is just such an amazing fighter. But I mean, sometimes he lets the antics get in the way. He could easily go for finishes, but he doesn't, just because, like I said, he's more of an entertainer, and therefore it's hard to really pick him just because I just don't see him. It's not that he doesn't take these fights seriously. It's just like I said, at the end of the day, he's an entertainer first, fighter second. As he likes to give the crowd a show, which I appreciate. But with that being said, this is going to be a fun stylistic matchup. I mean, karate versus probably the most unconventional guy you'll ever see. Very close fight. I got Wonder Boy Thompson via decision.
Yeah. So obviously a very close fight again. Pereira, kind of like a Nate Diaz type of fighter, more in it for the entertainment and not. I mean, obviously you want to win every fight that you go into, but more of a crowd's favorite instead of necessarily the best fighter. Now he is a good fighter. Don't get me wrong. I do think he's a little bit better defensively than Wonder Boy. Actually, I know he's a lot better defensively than Wonder Boy. I don't think Wonder Boy has the greatest defense. I'm going to pick Pereira by submission.
That's interesting. I think he could possibly get that done. And I mean, he's got some. He hasn't had a submission in a hot minute. I think it's been about 3 years, and he got Amadeov by submission. Really, but once again, that was one of those fights where he should have knocked him out in the first round. I think he could have, but he's more into the let me fly off the cage really quick and do this and do that. And I think I just watched that fight today actually at work to kind of catch up on Pereira's style. And that's all I need to see.
So I'll predict that he takes this fight a little bit more seriously and gets it done via submission.
And like I said, I mean, he could if he reels it in. I mean, there's no. I don't think Wonder Boy has a shot if Pereira could reel it in. But I mean, if Pereira starts doing the thing where he puts his hands behind his back and starts sticking his head out, I hate to say it, but I mean, Wonder Boy's his wide stance and he's elite karate, probably the best karate in the UFC. I mean, it's literally just a spinning kick away from that dude being limp on the mat.
Yeah, no doubt.
But should be a very, very fun fight. I'm very much looking forward to that fight. And moving on to the co-main event, which should have been for the interim light heavyweight. Yes, moving on. You seem excited. I'll let you take this one.
So, for everybody listening, I am an Israel Adesanya fan. So both these guys have fought Israel. Obviously, Pereira being extremely successful against him in his kickboxing career, and he dethroned him. Not in their previous fight, obviously, but the fight before. Jan, when Izzy went up to light heavyweight, fought him. And I think it's going to be much of the same as when Izzy went up to light heavyweight. I think Jan Blachowicz takes Alex Pereira down, who, for lack of a better word, is useless on the ground. I think Jan takes him down, keeps him there, and wins via submission. Now, I will say Pereira. Now, for everybody listening, it is a pick'em. I think Pereira, obviously, insane power, some of the best power we've seen in a very, very long time in the UFC. If he connects, he's liable to put anybody in the UFC out with one punch. That's all he needs.
Yep.
But that being said, Jan Blachowicz also has a lot of power. I think
Polish power, baby.
Yeah, definitely. I do think he takes him down, keeps him there, and wins via not submission, by decision.
Yeah, and actually, I want I know you said by mistake, but I think submission is a sneaky way for Jan to win. I think he could easily get the a submission win. Some club and sub. But I think, man, this fight's gonna be so close. It's gonna be so good too. It's gonna be a
Yeah,
great striking matchup. Go ahead.
I'm sorry. Yeah, Pereira is one of those guys that really keeps you on the edge of your seat. Doesn't matter if the other his opponent's winning the fight or not. I mean, at any moment that can completely flip on its head. I mean, look at Israel Adesanya in the first fight. Was just dominating him. It seemed like, and all of a sudden, it was just over.
Right.
It was just it.
Yeah, man. Like I said, that's the great thing about UFC. All it takes is one shot, one punch. It don't matter who you are. You can get knocked out just as easily, but as the next guy. But yeah, I'll go ahead and give my prediction. I got Alex via KO. I'm not confident at all in that. That's just me choosing because I could flip a coin and say Jan by knockout. I think Jan's got many more paths to victory than Pereira, and there is just a huge gap in the talent of the grappling games. Jan is just amazing, and Alex is not. Israel Adesanya got his first takedown in his career against Pereira. So that should say a lot right there for those not familiar. That's very bad. I'll put it at that and keep it at that. I give a slight advantage on the feet to Alex, just because I guess recency bias really. But I mean he's moving up to probably what's his more natural weight, which is obviously good for him. Once again, I think this elevation kind of takes an effect. I think if Jan's camp has him on a good game plan, which is take the man down, do what you have to do, then he's going to easily win. If they keep this on the feet, Alex definitely has an advantage and he's probably going to score more points than Jan, I think, on the feet, and he could get the knockout. Not to say Jan couldn't, but just saying I think Alex has a very slight advantage, like a 55-45 advantage on the striking, while the grappling game is more like 90 Jan and 10 Alex. So I think the game plan there for Jan is pretty obvious. But like I said, I got Alex via knockout. I think if Jan sticks to the Israel Adesanya game plan, takes the man down, there's not much he can do. Because at the end of the day, I think Jan even outstruck Izzy when they fought every single round. I don't think that fight was close.
No, he really dominated that fight. Honestly, I think most of it, I think it's going to translate to this fight as well. But the threat of a takedown, because Izzy was just helpless on the ground. Once he was on the ground, there was no way he was getting up. So I think the threat of a takedown really frustrated Israel, and I think it's going to do the same to Pereira.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And like I said, I can see this fight going either way. I'm just going to be in it for the entertainment. I definitely won't be betting on this one, and just because I have to choose, I'm choosing Alex via KO. But and we'll move on to the main event for the BMF belts. I will not be saying what BMF stands for, but if you watch this fight, you will know very soon after. I think even the current BMF champion is going to be there to hand the belt to whoever wins. I think we don't have to. Well, no, better than a corny, Dwayne Johnson there, raising his eyebrow, giving away the belt. Anyways, that's Jorge Masvidal, by the way, the most recent BMF champion. And I know UFC is really trying to push this BMF championship thing, but that's really for people who can't obtain a real championship, if I'm being quite honest.
Okay.
So, well, I'm being serious. I'm being honest. Like I said,
There's definitely avenues for both of these fighters to still win a championship.
Sorry, I'm in silence right now. I don't know. I mean, there's avenues. Will it happen? Absolutely not. Well, actually, one of them is going to be a champion after Saturday, a BMF champion. Better than their interim champions. Anyway, getting into the fight, we have the battle of the names: Dustin versus Justin. That's Dustin Poirier, minus 140 favorite versus Justin Gaethje, plus 120 underdog. And really, those odds don't matter. I don't think. I think this fight is pretty much should be a pick 'em. I mean, there's really no way to there's almost no way to tell other than watching the first fight, which, by the way, I believe Poirier won via knockout in the fourth round the last time they fought.
Yeah, I believe so.
And Poirier outclassed Gaethje there. I mean, Poirier showed he was the more technical fighter, more elite striker. I believe he landed 142 head strikes compared to 56 for Gaethje, which is a recipe for success, if you ask me. And really, there's not much to say here other than it's just going to be a banger. I think Poirier is going to be able to land more. He's going to break down Justin just like the first fight. Dustin's going to get hit and he's going to wear it pretty badly, but I think he can handle it much better. Dustin's the kind of guy that spits the tooth out on the mat and puts his hands back up. Wants to keep fighting. I think Justin should look for his leg kicks again. That's something to look out for him. But I think Poirier's got much better cardio. I think Poirier's going to mix it up, get some nice. He probably won't get as many head strikes in, but I think with that being said, I think it's because he's going to throw more to the body. Like I said, kind of take advantage of the elevation, take advantage of the not poor cardio from Gaethje, but the lesser cardio of Gaethje compared to his own. And we've seen Gaethje broken down in the past before. Dustin, not as much. I got fight ends in brutal knockout by either one of these fighters. Not sure which one really, but I give a slight advantage to the hometown hero for Louisiana, and that's Dustin Poirier. I got Dustin Poirier by knockout in the third round.
Yeah, I agree with everything you said. Poirier, Gaethje, I mean, man, fight of the year type of vibes I get from it. Both of these guys they have that dog in them. Embrace chaos. They love to be hit. They love to deliver hits. They're both violent up top on the feet. They both can wrestle well. Honestly, I don't know how the last fight was a pick 'em and this one isn't. I think this is much more even than the last fight.
Yes.
Although the
Gaethje
last fight is
much more
also
refined.
very. Wait, say that again.
Gaethje is much more refined. He's a lot more refined than the last time they fought too, which is why I think the odds should be closer.
Without a doubt.
But like
I do think Poirier is the more refined fighter overall, though.
Oh yes.
He's just a little bit more technical.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, like I said, he's just got much better cardio. I say much better cardio. It's really not that much of a difference, but it's enough to where you're going to be able to tell the difference in that third round. You're going to see both of them are kind of, over there at the start of the third round, but Poirier is going to be a little bit more locked in, and Gaethje's going to be kind of have his mouth open. He's just going to look to go out there and get into a slugfest. Which I mean, this fight, like I said, this fight is just going to be a base. It's just going to be pure chaos. Chaos personified. I mean, I bet the energy in the arena is just going to be amazing. The crowd's probably just going to be on its feet the whole time because guys are going to be wobbling left and right, and they're both going to be tired. I mean, you're going to see in like the last 30 seconds of each round, it's going to be one of those things where they're just throwing hooks over and over again. They're so tired, they're just falling over from their own power. But I think the Diamond toughs this one out. I think he can. I think he's gonna have a little bit more success ripping it to the body of Gaethje. Gaethje's gonna break down like we've seen him do. And granted, I get and this is all speculation. I could easily see Gaethje doing the exact same to Dustin. So I'm just giving Poirier a slight advantage due to his cardio and really the first fight they had.
Yeah. One thing I will say about Gaethje is the last time we saw him, he looked good, like technicality wise. He did land a few more strikes than Fiziev, but he didn't really hurt Fiziev, which was kind of surprising to me. Usually when Gaethje connects, he connects. So that'll be something to watch. Does he still have that power? I would think so. I would bet that he does. Poirier is going to get wobbled. Gaethje's going to get wobbled unless one of them just lands in like the first 10 seconds and ends the fight, which I don't foresee happening. Like I said, these guys do not go down without fights. They're going to – oh, man. I'm just so excited. I've been excited for this fight for a very long time. I think the one thing that Dustin has over Justin is he kind of times out his shots a little bit better. He's more calculated when he has his opponent staggered, whereas Justin just kind of throws wildly sometimes. So we'll see. I do have Dustin getting it done though.
Yeah, so either way, this fight's not going past the third round, I don't think. Or by that, I mean not past 15 minutes. I think definitely. I think even Dustin came out and said something along those lines too. But I mean, if you're even a UFC, novice, you know that this fight will not go the distance, and that you should definitely watch it. I've said it before. Do everything you can to watch this fight. I don't care what you do to watch it. Go to a friend's house, have a good time. I know Buffalo Wild Wings likes to show these fights. I mean, stream it off of the sketchy websites that could possibly give you a virus. Who cares? Because an $800 laptop and fight of the year. I mean, it's no comparison. You got to go for fight of the year here. So, yeah, that's UFC 291. You have any closing remarks for 291, Peyton, before we wrap
Yeah,
up?
yeah. If you go to Buffalo Wild Wings, eat beforehand.
Yes, yes. That's a good tip. That's what we call a pro tip, ladies and gentlemen. But yeah, that's it for UFC 291. I think we'll wrap up the show right there. I think that's all. That's all I got. I don't know about you, Peyton. What say you?
Yeah. Hope everybody enjoys 291, and thanks for tuning in.
Yes, absolutely. That's it. Please tune into 291 and feel free to talk to us about it the day of. We may hop on our Twitter spaces. We don't know yet. We're going to fill out the air, see how it feels, and see what we're up to. And like I said, we'd like to get some interaction from y'all. So please feel free to add us and let us know your predictions for the main event, the co-main event, or any other fight on UFC 291. Once again, thank you all for joining in on this episode, and we'll see you again Monday.